In 1983, Kirby-Smith Machinery wasn't the company you know today. We didn't have 470 employees spread across more than 11 branches in 4 states. We weren't providing awe-inspiring, earth-moving equipment to every major segment of the construction industry. We weren't even Kirby-Smith. In fact, we were just one. A young man named Ed Kirby, surrounded by a world that needed fixing. The company he worked for was going out of business. Banks that had propped up the energy boom in Oklahoma on false promises were folding. The state's heavy machinery industry was collapsing. Others saw calamity. Ed saw an opportunity to usher in a new era and a better way of doing business. 3 of his friends agreed. One gave him an office, free rent, and an assistant. Another gave him space to park his equipment. A few weeks later, a partner came along. Thanks to all those relationships, Kirby-Smith Machinery gained a foothold. And thanks to all of the relationships built since, we've become a force to be reckoned with in this industry. One mission, one team, one plan, one goal. These ideals meant everything to Ed. They still do. A mission to build an upstanding company with lifelong customers, capable of insulating an industry and a region from retreating to those dark days of the early 80s. A notion that you're only as strong as the team you have around you. A responsible plan for growth through consistent performance. And a simple goal: put people first. Because as much as these machines inspire us, there was something Ed learned early on. Without great people, there is no Kirby-Smith. That's where you come in. If you walked into our Oklahoma City facility in the late 80s, it would have felt like you were throwing dice at a 10,000 square foot craps table. The space was so cavernous, in fact, that someone once asked Ed, "What'll you do with all this facility, Ed?" His response was simple: "We're gonna fill it." 30 years later, that same Oklahoma City facility was busting at the seams. Thankfully, the same thing was happening at the Tulsa branch. Kirby-Smith continued to grow, and so did our footprint. As we acquired territory to the north, a branch was built in St. Louis, and more recently, in Kansas City. We have also been invested in Texas for decades, growing from a single facility in North Texas to a territory with branches that extend across the entire north and west of the Lone Star State. What fueled the expansion? Let's just say a mix of timing and intention. But it sure wasn't pure luck. Rather than chasing pipe dreams, we've had the guts to go into markets that needed some help. Kirby-Smith was born out of the Oklahoma oil bust. The first company we bought in Texas was underperforming. We entered St. Louis in a sluggish economy. And if you were to ask Ed if he ever had any doubts about whether we'd succeed under those conditions, you'd get another simple and direct response: of course we didn't. Alongside Ed, the people who built this company put everything on the line. And as it has paid off, we've benefited together. Truth be told, as successful as Kirby-Smith has become, that element of measured and calculated risk still exists, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Because if you're not willing to risk something, you can never expect to get anything in return. Our contemporaries saw product support and customer service as a necessary evil. We see it as the backbone of Kirby-Smith. Because the one true thing we've learned from this industry is that any machine made of steel and iron and with today's technology will need reliable maintenance and support. And when it does, we'll be there. Not just the first or second time, but each and every time. Our parts and service divisions are the front line of Kirby-Smith, the face of our company. They make or break our reputation. They earn our customers' trust. That's why we've built training and mentorship programs for these hard-working professionals that are the envy of our industry. It's a tough job, a dirty job, but it's one of our most important. These men and women know what it's like to be covered in oil. They've felt the snow on their backs and the wind in their hair as they've won a battle with a stubborn torque bolt. And that's why we'll never ask them to reach for a shop rag before shaking their hands, because that's something else we've learned through the years. Grease rubs off, reputation doesn't. Speaking of reputation, we can't lie. There was a point in our history when we weren't proud of our safety record. We weren't getting the job done, and changing that culture was painful and likely harmful to our bottom line. But we did it. Why, you ask? Because as much as we may love Vince Lombardi, we aren't the Green Bay Packers. We can't just say, next man up, when it comes to safety, because we're not just responsible for the men and women of Kirby-Smith. We're responsible for the well-being of their families. It's our job to get you home safe to your family every night, and to do so, each team member has to live and breathe an unwavering commitment, both in attitude and actions, to a culture that holds safety in the highest respect. We've literally put our money where our mouth is in that regard. We expect you to take it as seriously as we do. Everybody talks about customer service. Here at Kirby-Smith, we live it. Our desire to do right by our customers ranks right up there with breathing. We've taken the golden rule and put flesh on it, which is to say treating our customers as we'd like to be treated isn't a policy, it's just our way of life. It's our mission to create lifetime customers, and it's our goal to have team members who are indispensable resources to our customers and partners. Whether it's the guy in the wash bay or the executive suite, whether it's a $20,000 or $2 million account, we're going to treat every customer with respect. We're not interested in people who talk about that idea. We want to see you live it, and we'll recognize you when you do. Anyone can sell someone the first machine. Show us someone who can sell the next one. Anyone who has sold that next machine knows that future opportunities only happen when the customer is taken care of the first time. Selling iron teaches you the value of forging relationships, not just with customers, but the team that supports you. Because nobody's born a great salesperson. They've learned sometimes you have to believe you can turn the Mississippi River eastwards with your words. Other times, you just need to get out of the way and let your team's track record do the talking. These are the people we want to be in the trenches with. It's our job to help our salespeople succeed, develop, and become who they want to be. At Kirby-Smith, you will always have an ear ready to listen and a safe space for talking. In fact, we'll tell you anything you want to know, right up to our mom's secret chili recipe. We may not be able to solve all your problems, but we'll always listen and try to problem solve with you. How can we be better? What lights your fire? What keeps you up at night? We want your answers to these questions. We need your answers to these questions, and you should be able to expect an earnest effort on our part to deliver on your behalf. And we expect the same level of respect that we give you to be given to your team members. You're joining a team committed to having a positive and respectful attitude. Respect that commitment to each other. That's all we ask. We're also going to ask you to have fun. Often mistaken for a lack of productivity, fun allows us to be successful at Kirby-Smith. But don't take our word for it. Take a trip to our Dallas branch on one of the first 100-degree days of summer. Legend has it at 2 p.m. on one Friday in June, an executive decision was made. We're going to have a water balloon fight. For the next hour, water balloons were filled and hidden. Battle lines were drawn, and a rotation was established for answering the phones. At 3 p.m., all heck broke loose. When it was all described at the management meeting, there was a swift and mutual response from corporate. Darn, wish we were in Dallas last week. If we only get you to remember 5 words from this video, it's these. We are one Kirby-Smith. That phrase means a lot to us, but at the end of the day, it's about one thing. Are you good enough to be a part of this team? Because we honestly believe the people around here care about each other, our families, and supporting one another in fulfilling our goals and aspirations. We're all desperately passionate about the customer experience, but the difference is about how we care for one another. In fact, that's how the jar was born. A bunch of people got together a couple of years ago and decided there was too much division between territories and departments in our growing company. Then we decided to start combating it in our management meetings. If you prioritize your region or branch over another, you put $20 in the jar. If your phone goes off while someone is talking, you put $20 in the jar. You swear when you shouldn't, you're judged by a jury of your peers, who decide whether you put $20 in the jar. $1,500 later, there was a death in the Kirby-Smith family, and it was immediately clear why we had collected this money. Not only did it all go to that team member's family, but each member of the management team wrote additional checks to make sure this team member was taken care of. It's been a gratifying and deeply humbling experience for us to see "We are one Kirby-Smith" become a rallying cry, and it's left us with this question for all new hires. Do you accept the challenge of having to care for your fellow team member? Are you willing to help that person in their time of need? If not, there are lots of other great places to work. As proud as we are of the Kirby-Smith family, there's one thing it should always fall behind: your family. You tell us your kid needs a root canal on a Tuesday, and we'll make sure someone covers for you that morning. If you want to skip town to celebrate your 10th wedding anniversary, we'll make sure you're out the door early on Friday. But our commitment goes deeper than that. If your house gets hit by a tornado, you can expect someone from Kirby-Smith will be there with a hammer. If you or a loved one gets diagnosed with cancer, you can expect someone from Kirby-Smith to be at the bedside. Because we don't have a 5-year plan when it comes to our greater Kirby-Smith families, we're here to do the next right thing for you. We're here to walk that extra mile with you, professionally or personally. So, what do we expect of you? It's pretty simple, actually. Buy into one mission of safely creating, maintaining, and growing lifetime customers, and to be their first choice to fulfill and support their machinery needs. Become part of one team that values, supports, and applauds one another's efforts and successes in a way that helps us achieve our goals. Adopt one plan to execute the Kirby-Smith recipe of delivering industry-leading results for the benefit of our customers, employees, manufacturing partners, and owners, and strive for one goal: to be an indispensable resource to the success of our customers and our manufacturing partners. What can you expect from us? You can expect us to continue to build this company as a leading supplier of industrial, road building, and construction equipment. And we'll do that by continuing to recruit people like you, diverse, talented, and committed people from all across the country. You can expect us to continue to invest in our people. We have a rich history of actively promoting from within. That's no accident, but a result of our efforts to carefully groom employees for a long-term success. And above all, you can expect us to be family-focused. Yes, we consider this company a family, but we'll never lose sight of the fact that the people waiting for you back home come first. We may not be able to promise you the world at Kirby-Smith, but we can promise you this. As you go across this great nation and stare out at bridges and highways, buildings and dams, you'll be able to recall the sweat and hard work that went into building them. And you'll be able to say, "I helped build that, because I'm a part of Kirby-Smith Machinery." Welcome to our family.